Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1535B, and today's date is April 3rd, 2018, and the title of the episode is April Arrests a Very Big Month. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Well, it looks like it's really starting to heat up for Facebook. We see that the European Commission is considering new regulations to stop social media companies from spreading fake news. And we see that New York City Comptroller Scott Stringer is demanding changes to be made to Facebook. Now, New York City's pension fund, which has about a $1 billion investment in Facebook stock, really doesn't have the clout to unilaterally push for change. But Stringer said he's pushing for a shakeup on the company's board of directors. He wants Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg to relinquish his role as chairman and hand the position over to an independent advisor. And we see right now that there is a huge call for regulations. I think Twitter, Google, YouTube is going to be all brought into this mix. And Amazon, as you can see, Trump is definitely going after Amazon. And this is stuff that Q has said was going to happen, that there was going to be regulations and a lot of these companies might not survive or they might be broken up when all things are said and done. Now, Trump right now, he is really pushing the border. He's saying he's going to be putting military troops on the border to protect the border, and I think he's already doing that. And we know that George W. Bush deployed the National Guard troops at the border to help stop illegal immigration. Well, Trump has been calling on Mexico to say, hey, listen, we know there's thousands of Central Americans marching towards the United States border to demand asylum, which this, catch and release type of program that Obama put forth. Mexico needs to do something. Well, it looks like Mexico has heard Trump, and Mexico has deported around 400 of them, and it looks like they are going after the rest. Now, does that mean there's going to be no one headed up to the border? No. There's still going to be a couple hundred that are headed to the border, but we can see right now that Mexico is listening and starting to do something. Now, we know that Trump and Sessions, they're looking to change and reform the immigration laws. We see that they're trying to push this, and right now there's a very big push to get rid of everything that pretty much Obama has set up over the 8 years. And if you notice, it's the dismantling of the globalist system of what they were preparing to do. Now, very interestingly, Mueller was out there and he basically released a memo. And this was a secret memo penned by Mueller's team, and it was heavily redacted. The memo cites Rosenstein's statement about the appointment of the special counsel. The special counsel quietly released it late Monday night, and other publishers like Bloomberg, Wall Street, they published the details of the memo Tuesday morning. Now, what's very strange about all of this is that the memo was dated August 2017, weeks after the FBI raided Paul Manafort's home in what was the first sign that he might soon be indicted. And we have three questions about what is going on here. Why release the memo now? Why was the memo penned and signed after Manafort's home was raided? And will this memo's release make it harder for Trump to fire Rosenstein or Mueller if he so chooses to do so? And we have to understand that Rosenstein wrote the secret memo last August outlining the scope of Mueller's investigation. All of this was pre-planned, and it looks like they are trying to protect themselves, just like Susan Rice, where she had this ridiculous memo saying that, Obama is doing everything by the book. And it looks like they're all trying to cover all these bases to make sure that nothing happens to them. But you could see through all of this. I mean, are these individuals serious in what they're doing? I mean, all you have to do is go back in time. Computers, you can trace everything. You can trace the date, the timestamp. You can do all of this. And what they're doing right now makes no sense whatsoever. It's almost like the case with Skripal in the UK, where they came out and said, yes, it was the Russians. We have no proof, but we should start expelling all the diplomats from the embassies. And we want all the countries to join in. Well, in a major embarrassment to the UK establishment, the chief scientist from the UK's Porton Down military laboratory facility, Gary Aikenhead, said that they have been unable to prove that Novichok nerve agent was used to poison Sergei and Yulia, and that it came from Russia. He said, we have not identified the precise source, but we have provided the scientific info to government, who have then used a number of other sources to piece together the conclusions you have come to. So really, there really is no evidence here. And of course, Atkinhead is protecting himself, saying it's not our job to provide anything else but scientific evidence of what this particular nerve agent is. We identified that it is from this particular family, that it is a military grade, but it is not our job to say where it was manufactured or anything else. So of course, what we're seeing here is that anybody could have created this nerve gas, and this whole entire story is falling apart. Right now, it looks like Yulia is in stable condition, and it looks like Sergei is in stable critical condition, and when these two individuals wake up, they're going to start to talk. Now, the question is, are they going to allow them to talk? Are they going to allow them to speak out? Because remember, Yulia is a Russian citizen. They wouldn't let Russia, the representatives of Russia, see Yulia. So something's going on here, and we know what it is. It's a false flag. It was a push, and it is failing dramatically. You see, Russia right now, they're going to be rebuilding Syria's energy sector. And of course, this was part of the deal of Russia coming in, helping get rid of the Islamic State, where Russia was going to be intertwined with Syria's economy. And we could see this happening right in front of our eyes, where all of this is starting to come true. And we know that Trump has already said that the U.S. military will be leaving Syria, and I do believe that's going to happen very, very soon. We see more than 40,000 people have returned home to their town of eastern Ghouta. They've also returned to Damascus, and we see right now that since everything has been stabilized and they removed the terrorist groups and everything is secured, people are returning back to their country. They're not escaping saying, oh my God, we can't go back because of Assad. They're returning because now they feel safe. And why do they feel safe? Well, the terrorists are gone. That was the major problem. Who brought the terrorists in? The deep state. They brought in the Islamic State. They brought in Al-Qaeda. They brought in Al-Shabaab. They brought in Al-Nusra, Al-Sham, you name it. They were in there. They brought in the Syrian Democratic Forces, the moderate rebels. They had so many groups in there. They were all part of the same exact problem. Now, Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman admitted that Saudi nationals have funded terrorist groups, and we can see right now that this whole thing is falling apart, where Saudi Arabia, Qatar, yes, was part of it, Jordan was part of it, the deep state, the coalition forces, Israel, they were all supporting terrorists throughout the Middle East. And we can see right now that his announcement came days after a U.S. judge rejected Saudi Arabia's request to dismiss lawsuits accusing it of involvement in 9/11 attacks. And we know it's not just Saudi Arabia. This whole thing with 9/11 is far-reaching into the U.S. government, into the Bush administration. And what we're seeing right now is this whole thing being blown wide open. And why do I say that? Well, let's get to what Q has been saying. He posted a lot more right now. And he went down the list and he said, April, with a capital A in brackets, the Attorney General report is coming out. We see Rod Rosenstein, he's going to have problems. Seals are broken, which means it looks like the indictments are coming out. Capital A in brackets, arrests. And this went on to capital A with A1. Tarmac, they're going to be releasing what happened on the tarmac. So we have 3 A's in brackets, which is April, arrests, A1. We know that Iran is next to go after the deep state there. North Korea was already taken care of. We're going to see probably information coming out about the Uranium One deal, about the FBI, about Department of Justice, about Mueller. We're going to see the election integrity report. We're going to see a new immigration bill. We're going to see the border secured with a wall that is going to be built. And we can see that April is going to be a very big month. Now, when it comes to the Awan brothers, a new document was revealed that 44 Democrats waived background checks on Debbie Wasserman Schultz, IT hacker. And we see right now that they didn't do anything to make sure that these individuals were secure. They just let them in there, and of course, they might have been the person who sold and leaked the DNC emails that were cleverly blamed on imaginary Russian hackers. Now, we can see there's a lot going on right now, and a lot of things are happening all at once, and Q has come out with many more intel drops. Now, he starts out with drops will go fast, White House is clean, everything is planned, mentions Lexington and Concord. This is the beginning of the Revolutionary War on April 19th. Now, we're on April 3rd, so this might mean something very important. He also says follow Bolton, which means don't follow him around, but follow what he has Bolton doing. And that is going to be very important. And it looks like Bolton his task is to clean house. I know he's a neocon, I know he's a warmonger, but every time Trump brings someone on, there is a reason he uses these individuals, and when all's said and done, he lets them go. Bolton right now is going to be cleaning out the White House of all deep state loyal to Hillary Rodham Clinton and Obama, the ultimate targets of treason investigations to stop leaks. And we have to watch this very carefully, and believe me, they have an eye on Bolton to see how he works, who he is in contact with, and what he is doing. Q is also saying that we're in the clean stage. He also says learn how to archive offline. Now, what's very interesting about this one is that the last time Q said something about archiving offline was on February 5th, and we had the Parkland shooting on February 14th, where all of a sudden there were channels that were brought down. Now, I know there is a shooting happening in San Francisco at the YouTube offices, and I don't know if this is the false flag or the event where people are going to mention this and they're going to start bringing down channels, but we can see right now the last time Q mentioned to learn how to archive, something big happened, and we can see right now that something big is going to happen. Now, something very interesting where Q is pointing to this woman. Her name is Beverly Eckert, and her husband was killed during the 9/11 attacks, and she rejected the $1.8 million from the government and filed a lawsuit against them instead. She was a loudmouth and a well-known figure in the 9/11 truth movement. Now, very oddly, days after she met Obama, she died in a plane crash. Now, what's very interesting about this, Q put up these posts and said, look at the timestamps. They're very important. And when you look at Q's timestamp, which is 22/17/17, which is 10:17 p.m., Colgan Air Flight 3407 crashed at 10:17 p.m. If you look at Q's post, HRC 21209, you can see that's Hillary Rodham Clinton, February 12th, 2009. That's the date the plane crashed. So this is very interesting, and let me just say the people on 8chan have done a really fantastic job researching all this type of information, and you can see how this all coordinates with what they're saying. And they're saying that the stage is set for the HRC video to be released, and it's supposed to be very, very damaging. Now, we'll have to wait to see how this turns out, but this is very interesting. We also had an anonymous user on the 8chan board, and he told Q, listen, to confirm that you are real, to make sure that we are listening to the real Q, can you have the president say tip-top? Now, that's an odd phrase, tip-top, tippy-top shape. So during Easter, the president made a speech, and this is what he said.
Or whatever you want to call it, because there really is no name for it. It is special. And we keep it in tip-top shape. We call it sometimes tippy-top shape. And it's a great, great place.
As you can see, Trump actually used these words, which are very odd words to even mention. And the anonymous user posted this before the Easter speech. So this Q, if it's either Trump or a group of individuals, which I think it's a group of individuals including Trump, they got the message and they confirmed yes, we are real. Now, going forward, April is supposed to be a very big month for arrests. And I believe these 25,000 indictments, I think the seal is broken. I think we're going to see a lot of individuals arrested. Remember, a lot of these individuals, they are mouthpieces to the real deep state, the shadowy figures behind the scenes who are pushing all the buttons, pulling all the levers. And I know there's a lot of people that want to see certain individuals put into jail, but I think it's going to start out slow. And remember, the thought process of all these individuals is that they're above the law, that they will never be put into jail, they will never be tried, they will never be captured, and this is the way they think because they do believe that they live on a different plane where the laws have nothing to do with them. They have their own set of laws. This is why these individuals are never afraid of anything. This is why they're not going to go in hiding. They're not going to, bury themselves underground. I mean, the worst case scenario, if they're coming to get them, they might commit suicide. But they're never going to, I don't think they're ever going to run because I think their mindset is, you can't touch us. And I do believe this is how they have thought all along. This is what they've been told. You are safe. Nobody will ever touch you. You can do whatever you want. And they've been believing this all throughout this time period. No one has ever done anything. No matter how many times they killed someone, no matter how many crimes they've committed, their mindset is, we don't have to go anywhere. And actually, if they tried to run, they could be tracked very easily. I mean, look, they found Snowden. I don't think it's going to be that difficult to find them if they tried to run. And they know this too, that they'd be very easy to find. So I do believe that they think, I'm going to be going on with the rest of my life. I have nothing to worry about. I can do whatever I want. You can't touch me. And I think what's going to happen is they're going to be very surprised that all of a sudden they're being apprehended and they're being brought in. Because again, the deep state, the mouthpieces, they all do believe, because they've been in power for a very long time, they believe that they're untouchable. Just like they tell you, this bank is too big to fail. We can't do anything with the bankers. Well, they feel they're untouchable. They can't be touched. And I think what's going to happen is this is going to be proven the opposite, where they can be touched. And you're going to see individuals brought in. And you're going to see suicides, most likely. And I think with this month, the month of April, we're going to see a lot more happen. Now, in March, we had quite a bit happen. I mean, think about it. The corporate media, the deep state, was telling us that North Korea was going to be attacking the United States. There was no hope of peace or anything like that. All of a sudden, we have peace in North Korea. This is a very big deal. What other president or group has ever done this before against the deep state? The deep state, they were controlling Kim Jong-un in North Korea. Kim Jong-un, for the first time, left his country. The United States is having a drill right now, and you haven't heard a word. I mean, before you heard Kim Jong-un, I don't think it was him, but you heard the corporate media going crazy. We're going to fire a missile. We're going to attack the United States. We're going to start a war. You heard all these ridiculous things. Now you hear nothing. You see no nuclear test. You see no firing of a missile. Nothing. The next phase is Iran. And there's a lot of countries that have the deep state embedded in all these countries because they want regime change in these countries. So they've been setting it up for a very long time. While all this is happening, we have troops that are going to be coming home from the Middle East, which means the governments, and we talked about this quite a bit, the governments, they will be able to govern themselves, and they can make the decision on what currency they want to use to sell their oil. This is the beginning stages of bringing the system down. So Trump right now is attacking the tech stocks, Facebook, Google, Amazon, attacking the markets, put the tariffs in place, starting a trade war with China to shut down this system, set up reciprocal taxes, shutting down the borders from illegals getting into this country, having the troops withdrawn from the Middle East, allowing the countries to go off of the dollar. I mean, think about what's happening right now. All of this is happening at once. This is not by accident. This is planned. This is why Q continually says, trust the plan. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.